one of the young people who tried to help Iraqi refugees not to be removed from the church where they had taken refuge and removed from Denmark to Iraq. And that was a non-violent fight. She was in there. Please tell us about your experience. Thank you, Signe.
My name is Signe, and I come from Kirkeasyl, and I'll try to speak very briefly. But I'll just start with saying a little about Kirkeasyl. I think all Danish people here know the story, but maybe we have some foreigners who don't know the situation or the case. The case was that on the 15th of May this year, a group of Iraqi asylum seekers sought asylum and protection in a Danish church. They ended up spending around 3 months in the church, and we formed a support group of between 300 and 500 activists who were supporting the Iraqis and who were making a campaign on giving asylum to the Iraqis. And we managed to raise a huge debate on the Danish asylum policy and foreign policy in Iraq also a little bit. But then in August, even though all thought it was impossible, the Danish government gave the green light for the police to storm the church, and they did so on the 13th of August in the middle of the nighttime. We, the Danish group of activists, had prepared for that night, even though we thought it was impossible, for nearly 2 months. And the plan on the night was to stop the police from leaving the church with the Iraqis and to stop the bus with the Iraqis in it. We had used lots of hours and meetings preparing this action. I think that was very important that we had prepared so much, which meant that the night ended in a collective, non-violent action instead of just ending up in chaos. Our goal was primarily to stop the police and the bus from leaving the church, and even though we all knew that it would be rather impossible to do so, I think we just kept on believing because we had to make a very ambitious action if we wanted to involve people also. But secondly, we also wanted to make sure that if they were to leave the church with the Iraqis and deport the Iraqis, that it didn't happen in silence. There's a lot of things going on in Denmark regarding asylum policy that's happening without anybody really knowing what the consequences of the policy that we have in Denmark is. So we wanted to make these consequences visible for everybody in Denmark, and that was also the idea with the whole project of seeking asylum in the church. So we kind of deliberately seek confrontation on that night on a non-violent ground. But we wanted to have a confrontation. We did not want them to leave silently with the Iraqis. It was a difficult action to plan, first of all, because we were up against the Danish police, and we knew that it was a very delicate matter for the government, so they would need success, and they wouldn't accept failure in this matter. But some things also made it more difficult to go through with the action. First of all, we knew that all activists who would participate in the action on the night would be extremely emotional, because it would be watching your friends and people you know and care about being dragged out of the church. We knew that it would probably happen in the middle of the night, which made it difficult to, or it made it more dangerous, more easy for people to panic on the night. And then we knew that they would be setting the time. We didn't know which night it would be. We all slept with our phones very close to our ears on a very loud sound level, every night being prepared to go out. But we knew that we would, per definition, be unprepared when it happened. And then we were very unsure how many people we could mobilize and who we could mobilize, because it depended very much on what people had, what plans they had that night. One thing we had, though, as a huge advantage was that, opposed to other civil disobedient actions, we weren't the ones trying to push through police change. We were the ones who had to keep standing or keep sitting, and they were the ones trying to break through. And we were very, very intent on making this a completely non-violent action for two reasons. both because we dealt with refugees who had traumas, a lot of them traumatized people. There were children in this church, and we didn't want to put them in a situation of chaos and violence. We couldn't take that responsibility. And also because we knew that we had gained a lot of sympathy in the Danish population, and a lot of people wouldn't be able to be present on the night and see for themselves what happened. So we had to make sure that the things we communicated in the media was very peaceful. I think that two things were very important for us to succeed in this action. Because we didn't succeed in the main goal to prevent them from leaving the church, but we managed to make an organized action, and we managed to raise a hell of a lot of noise about this deportations. One thing is that we mobilized a lot of people. We worked very consistently on this, gathering phone numbers for people and arranging a text message change. And then we had a list of almost 200 people who got a phone call on the night. We had an entire alarm system that worked. And then in order to make sure we kept control, which was the other thing I think was important, to mobilize people, and then important to keep control of people. Because when you're in the middle of the nighttime and the police are hitting you and you are very afraid and very angry, the first reaction of most normal people would either be to run away or to hit back. And we worked a lot on how we could control the situations. So we worked with info guys that were very clear, signed off with white t-shirts, who were a group of almost 20 people. We had megaphones and gave directions, and we're constantly trying to lower the atmosphere and keep people calm. Then we worked with sitting blockades instead of standing blockades, because we thought it would be easier to remain calm, even though they would use maybe tear gas or pepper spray. And then we handed out flyers all through the night with information on what the plan was, how the codex of the action was, and what the goal of the action was. So I think that's one of the reasons why we managed to make this civil disobedient action and keep it rather controlled, was that everybody showed a lot of discipline, both self-discipline in an extreme way. I don't know if any of you have seen the pictures of people being hit in the head and still sitting down, but also because people respected that we had made a lot of preparation, and they actually respected that we within the action had some people who we gave authority and who were allowed to guide other people so that we prevented chaos. And I think it was a very successful, politically at least, action, because we maintained a non-violent codex, but we also maintained a very high degree of confrontation, which managed for us, I think, to show that the bad guys in this situation weren't the activists, but it's the government and the Danish police. Thank you.
Thank you, Signe. That was great, and it is a privilege for us to have you here. You can all go into Tube on the net, and then you can see how brutal the police violence was, and how brave the young people were. They were hit so badly, and they came crawling back and sitting together in a chain many times. Yeah. We will not forget that, and I wish you good luck in your future nonviolent actions. They are needed.